cold out there. And these groceries are kind of heavy. Now we're going to start making some pasties. I will show you some of the ingredients that I have here at home. Flour and the Crisco, and of course the salt and pepper. Then these are the vegetables that I got from the store. This is carrots that we'll use in the pasty, and some potatoes, and onions. Just to show a few what I start with, and the meat, which is stewing beef, and then the rutabaga. I'll only use half of this rutabaga for the pasty, and some more of the potatoes. Now this is the rutabaga that we're going to use, and only about half of this, because this is the only way you can purchase it. And then the carrots, you can use either the whole carrots or these baby carrots. Either carrot's fine. I happen to be using these because I just got them at the grocery store. Then the potatoes, approximately seven potatoes or so, and peeled and chopped. And this is chopped. And then about a pound of stewing beef, maybe 4 onions, and then for the crust, I'm making a double batch of crust. Would be like 4 cups of flour and each crust would have two-thirds cup of flour, but I'll double that, and then the salt and pepper goes into the meat mixture. And some salt goes into the crust, about a teaspoon per batch of crust. And it'll make about 12 or 13 pasties. And that's about what we're going to do right now. First thing we do is we peel the potatoes. And we put them in, dice them and put them in water so that they don't turn black. Otherwise, if we leave them without water, they'll turn back, and we won't be using them until we've gotten everything ready to put them in the pasty. This is one of the best ways to peel a potato, in case anyone wants to use one of these. I cut it up and I dice it rather small. It can't be very big because it's going into a pasty. So you cut them about like so. And this goes into the cold water and keep it there till you're ready to use them. This is the rutabaga, and it's a little bit hard to peel, so sometimes you might want help to have them dice it, which I had, because it's a hard vegetable. And another thing, everyone does not want rutabaga in their pasty, and so if you don't want that in your pasty, you don't have to put it, but we like to use rutabaga in our pasty. And we'll peel it and then dice it. The rutabaga also goes into the water with the potatoes, not necessarily because it might turn black, but they go together eventually anyway, and I find it necessary to put them in the water and dice them small like you dice the potatoes. Sometimes this water softens the rutabaga a little bit too. The next thing we do is we need onions prepare the onions for the pasty, and I'm peeling it, and we're going to put this through the through this grinder, and we're going to also put the carrots through the grinder, and we're using baby carrots, and so in this case there's no peeling of baby carrots because they're already peeled. Now this is the size that I use for the grinder. Even for the food processor, this is just about the way you would cut it. And then just feed it into the grinder or the food processor. This method right here. Well, the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to start with the meat. We're going to put that in the grinder and then we'll get the meat ground, and then we're going to start with the onions and the carrots. And I'm going to need help for this, so I'm going to call my husband, who is too cheap to buy me a food processor, so he has to turn the grinder for me. Here it comes. Now we're starting to grind this. It isn't going down.
That's okay, we'll start shoving it in.
And then next thing I'll put in would be a little bit of the carrots to help the meat to go in better. And he's doing a very good job with the grinder, if you notice.
It's the only kind of jobs I do is that.
Yeah, he loves to make pasties with me.
Push.
You push.
Turn the plate.
We mixed everything, the carrots and onions and meat in one bowl, and we diced, and actually we told you earlier, we diced the potatoes. Now we drained them and we rinsed them, and now they go into this mixture of the meat, and then we'll start making our pasties. But we have to mix this together and season it. We put salt and pepper into the meat. Now we take the potatoes and we mix them, drain them into this big bowl where the meat and carrots and onions are. And we add 3 teaspoons of salt, approximately the correct amount, and about 2 teaspoons of pepper. Now, how we mix this, hand mixing is the best. That way you've got everything mixed real well when you do it by hand. Now this is the mixture then that goes into the pasty. And it's all mixed up real good. Now we're getting ready to make the crust. And I'm making a double batch, so there's 4 cups of flour here, and 1/3 cups of Crisco, and 2 teaspoons of salt. And here's the water, ice water that then we're going to mix with the crust as we go along. Now I'm pouring this flour, I'm putting all this together now, and salt, and the Crisco, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it by hand. A lot of people use a pastry blender, but in this case, when it's so much like a double batch, it seems to work better than a pastry blender. And those of you that make crust know that it has to be all mixed very well. The Crisco has to be blended in real well with the flour before we add this water. Now I'm going to add the water, but that I can't really measure. I have here about cup and 2/3 cup of water, 1 2/3 cup of water, but I won't use all of that at once. It's ice water. And I'll start. I have to put a little at a time to know what the quality is, and that it has to mix well. But it can't be too soft either. You have to know what the texture is yourself. So now this is well blended. Very well blended. And this is a double batch. Now we're ready to roll out the crust and make our pasty. And I'll prepare pat this out, and I'll roll my crust out. And that's important. The thickness of the crust is kind of important too. You don't want it too thick, and then again, you don't want it too thin. But texture of this crust is very good. Now I'm going to put a 3/4 of a cup of filling in, and I'm going to put a pat of butter right in the middle. This is for make the pasty moist. They used to use suet, but to keep the cholesterol down, we just put butter. And then I cut the sides down again and seal it. And I poke holes into it to let some of the steam out. We have just prepared a pasty. Now this pasty is ready for the oven. We preheated the oven for 350, and I will put the pasties in the bottom shelf, like so. The pasties are in the bottom oven, and you cook them for 30 minutes in the bottom oven, and then after the 30 minutes you put them on the top rack for another 30 minutes, and then they're ready to eat. Don't these look delicious? And that's how you make a pasty. If you want to freeze your pasties, you're going to have to bake them for 30 minutes, and they freeze real well. And then you just bake them another 30 minutes when you're ready to eat them. And our Kilpullman family usually eats it with ketchup.
Now that is good pasty. How about a glass of milk?